Irene, can you hear us? Okay. Dyra, can you hear us now? Oh, excellent. And hi, Maria. Thank you for coming. This is really a holy joining of deep contemplation, and I guess it's going to be a day by day thing because it sounds like we're having one tomorrow night too. I'm just going to say yes, whatever he says. Okay. Whatever the man with the plan says. Okay, Jesus. So we've been looking at how healing is accomplished in the manual for teachers, and I'm asking if we can look back here at insane conviction. It's paragraph 2, the perceived purpose of sickness. In what? In this insane conviction. Okay. So it feels like it's helpful to admit insane conviction. I'm asking, yes. The conviction that insanity in terms of the denial that we're light, that's insane. That insanity, we're convicted. We've convicted ourselves. Like consciousness is a play of self-conviction. Jesus says, yes. Okay, Jesus. So, and what in this insane conviction does healing stand for? It symbolizes the defeat of God's Son and the triumph of his Father over him, right? We were looking at that. I think we should just go ahead and let the Father be triumphant and see how that goes. Lori's like half cut off, so okay, Jesus. So let's see. So he's saying, okay, don't cut Jesus's head off. We want Jesus in there. There he is. Hi, Jesus. It represents the ultimate defiance in a direct form, which the Son of God is forced to recognize. It stands for all that he would hide from himself to protect his life, quote unquote. Feels helpful to be really clear on what life is. Without being clear on what life is, we can't, I'm asking him, I'm about to say we can't be clear on what death is. And yes, he says it's necessary. Yeah, what section from the manual? That's a good question because she's trying to translate. It's the manual for teachers, and then section 5, how is healing accomplished? We're in paragraph 2 of the perceived purpose of sickness. Trying to kill God, basically. The insane conviction of trying to kill. So let's just ask him, Jesus, am I still having a desire for an experience to be insanely convicted that I can kill God? That's helpful either way. If he says yes, good. If he says no or partial, there's a place that you can host the discussion. But knowing that when he gives the answer, it's what's most helpful. Because if the ego is going to go, oh, I don't want to kill the light, until we really see, we want the light to be stamped out of awareness in just the meanest, most brutal, horrific fashion. So that admission, we admit it. I'm asking him, can we fully heal without it? No, we can't. You know, it's really looking directly. It's not going into the darkness to experience it. So the ego is going to go, okay, we're going to have dark night of soul. No, with the new what he's giving now, to look at the desire. Ego relishes. Why would Jesus give us? We've been relishing the experience of death and darkness our whole life. Now, why would Jesus said, okay, you have to go? He doesn't mean you have to relive all the darkness. That's a play in consciousness. See that a dark night of the soul is a desired experience. It's a form of specialness. That's what he's telling me. So it's good to look at that. Jesus, do I desire to go through hell to get to heaven? See, that's still the play of going through hell to get to heaven. And we know it's not necessary because we see reflections like Eckhart Tolle just dropped it, just walked out. For most beings, obviously, the play, I enjoyed the play way too much and didn't drop it. And besides, he says this is what's most helpful for me, and I trust him. Because I know love, the full love of the Father's behind that. It's what's to see past every error. It symbolizes defeat of God's Son and the triumph of his Father. We were talking about that, how in the consciousness, we love the little white flag scenarios, where the enemy that's about to be vanquished, he wants surrender. I'm going to fight to the death. That's how we feel. If we say that, that's how we feel about God. I'm going to fight God to the death. And that's what appears. This is really just admitting how powerful the mind is. It represents the ultimate defiance in a direct form, which the Son of God is forced to recognize. It stands for all that he would hide from himself to protect his life. So let's just ask Jesus so we can be absolutely clear. Is this body life? Are the frogs and the toads and the snake, is that life? There's total confusion about what life is. We're life itself. You can ask Jesus, am I life itself? Yes, all that's given by the Father is what life is. Life everlasting, amen. So it's not, so in the ego's world, it's going to try and find a way to make the body last longer. Tuck and trim and lift. Let me see if I can get cryo preserved. Put myself embalmed with liquid nitrogen so I'm like a little icicle. And then they can wake me up 200 years from now. You'll still be dead, even though your eyes pop open. I'm being clear. Did you say that? Yes, that's Jesus is saying that. The eyes popping open is not life. We have to be clear. Ask Jesus. The light is life. Light. Ask Jesus. So everyone who comes can talk to him. We've seen that over and over. Jesus knows we needs help in form through our brother. So now he's had us record all these, must be, 20 at least joining sessions where beings are just going, I don't think I can talk to Jesus. And then the next thing that comes out of their mouth is right out of infinite. So it's really the practice. He's reminding me, yes, it's the practice. It's the practice of journaling with him. But it's a Q&A. Really, you ask the question, then you type what he tells you, and you ask the question. Just ignore the doubts and just type what you hear. He says yes. Just like writing the book, I'm in the middle of it going, or that, like the Q&A that I posted, I was asking him about things. Well, what about this, Jesus? And right in the middle of that, I'm going, well, I'm not sure. But then you go back. It's the opportunity to go back and go, boy, that was crystal clear. And then you see it, but you don't see it. I didn't really even, I mean, I saw what was being written, but you don't really fully see it until you sit with Jesus on every line. That's why the book is for contemplation, not to go and discuss it, to contemplate it and go for, he's given us direct experience now. He's just going, do not pass go, see that you're infinite now. So, okay, Jesus, I'm going to marinate as light. That sounds, Muji says it, it's a great thing. Marinate as light, and Jesus has us look at the denials. Look directly at the denials so that we can be guided home so directly. It stands for all that he would hide from himself to protect his light. I said, Jesus, it can't be emphasized enough that every corner of the mind must be made available. Every corner. So the ego quakes at that. It likes to keep those little pockets, those little specialnesses under there. Jesus says, just see that there's death in that. I have to see it. I'm willing to see that there's death in that, because I know that when I look with them to see that it's, as soon as the connection, see that the subconscious mind is like, it's like a house with a lot of little rooms in it. And that's to keep these little idea boxes going. So we can get lost in these different rooms and all the different ways the ego says no. So then it's going to say, okay, Jesus, I'm going to follow you right up to this point. And then I'm going to follow you, but. And we have to see that but is a chunk of personal identity we want to hold on to. Like this kind of stuff. Yeah, but Jesus is going to be with me when I leave and go to the, no, you leaving with, you're taking death with you wherever you go. We talked about the beehive. We're taking that beehive of the no to divine being where we go. Like it's the ego plays this game. It goes, well, he'll still be with me. I'll listen to him. What? No, you won't. No, there's no listen. The only listen improvement plan is now. Now. See, it just creates a future. And then we accept hell for ourselves. And we sided with weakness. It just said, I'm a weakness. I'm weak. And then consciousness plays in that, goes, well, Jesus will still be with me, but you're not talking to him because you're not following inner light. And then you're feeling guilty and you turn your face away. I'm just asking him, Jesus, must we see this? Yes. Because you're turning your face away from you, your true nature, pretending like it's Jesus and I don't want to talk to you, but really it's that I want a timeline and not talk to Jesus. kind of thing. So at some point it has to, and for it to fully switch over, for full acceptance, you just want to say yes every time and no to the ego every time because we're worthy of it. We're worthy to be light and not in this play of the dream. And the ego, I'm talking about this, the ego uses, I can't get it wrong. See, it uses every line in this course, Jesus said, can be misunderstood, every single one of them. Used for the ego purpose. I can't get it wrong. That's a famous one. I can't get it wrong. Of course you can't get it wrong. You're infinite light. It's impossible but you have to see your light and emit your light. So of course, every moment is a moment to follow Jesus. Yes. But to see really what's embedded in that no to the prompt, pain and suffering and guilt. It was so great. We watched the movie, The End of Sixth Happiness. Sixth Happiness. I talked about it a little bit. It was about the true story of a woman from Great Britain who just felt called. I'm going to China. She has a great line in the movie too. I just don't, I want, if God's calling me and he's telling me to go, I'm going. And she gets all these reflections, don't go. And apparently the woman the story was based on was really upset because of course they put a love interest in there and she was only interested in God really and following. But when you see the things, the true things, the things that this woman, like she stopped a prison riot. Just walked into a rioting Chinese prison, a white woman, just walk in there. And then she led 100 children over the mountains of China. 100 orphans. I think there were 2 adults. I think 2 adults. One of them got killed on the way. I don't know if that's true. One of them got killed, but basically it was 100 kids of all ages. 100 orphans. The advancing Japanese army in World War II, and they were fleeing the army through the mountains of all things. It's so beautiful. She was so far beyond being a hero of a dream. See, there's the save the whales and save the children, and then there's divine function. And following God with all your heart. He's reminding me of that because we're worth it. But when you carry that divine power of conviction that you're more than you think they're worth. I'm asking if I can talk about this. I've talked about this a little bit, but you can see how helpful that light training is. And he's reminding me about this light training. Because I check in to see, was that light, was there ego involved in that? What's the truth? I'm interested in his interpretation of everything. And I think I've told this story before because it's for me. And I'm asking Jesus more for me to see in it. Yes. So then I just proceed. Something he wants to show me there. He's saying, see all the love in this. Yeah, he's showing me how it's just acceptance of divinity, even though if you don't call it that yet, but it's really standing into the power of light. And he's showing me how he's always there for us. If we really look, you can see how he's really working with us. And in that prison, every time I can see it because the mind was so focused on light all the time. And he's reminding me of that, stay focused on light. So the social worker the head of the social workers had called me and said, the guys are getting a lot out of that program you've been teaching. We'd like to add the drug rehab guys to it. The guys are in the drug rehab class here. I'm like excited. Yeah, go ahead. I think that sounds like a great idea. I was always trying to get them to give me more guys in a class, but they'd only let me have like, I think between, I can't remember, maybe they'd let me have 25 in the class, maybe. And the class was upstairs, kind of away from the officer's station. So they didn't want too many beings, in one room like that. Or in even for a visit, and when you think about it, really, it's so miraculous. Every time I think back on that, how did they let a volunteer just come in off the street and just, I don't know, it's by myself. I was amazing. But anyway, so I showed up for class, for the first class, and there were the guys could take it a second time if they wanted. So there were a couple of those guys in there. And if they were experienced, they would come in and support the next class. So there were a couple of guys in there, but the line was so long. It was like down the hall. The line was down the hall, and they were all waiting to come in. And I was kind of like noticing that they weren't looking super happy. I don't know what's happening here. They don't look very happy here. So I just said, hello, I was like, and I think they would tease me because I was like, you're the only one who comes in here who's happy. I'm just like happy. I was so happy moving in there, but that's our function. We're in function. We're going to be happy. Just not letting anything stop you. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just walking down the hall. There's the guys lifting weights and they're just down the hall because we're carrying the power of God. And he's reminding me, this is what this beautiful woman did here. She was just in full following the power of God, right? And just heading, and you're just so in service for the whole. And so I just was noticing, and you start noticing how beings are expressing, and it wasn't a happy expression. And so I just started talking to them, and it was like, I realized this is Monday. They started telling me it's Monday night football. Now, Monday night football in prison, for those guys, it's a priority. And so they're missing Monday night football. And I realized they didn't know jack about this class. So now they're in a mandatory class. These good boys, drug dealers, they're guys from the hood. And I realized, you don't know. And I said to one of them, you don't know why you're here, do you? He said, no. And it's like, but all of a sudden, all the training, thank God for Tony Robbins, I did all that training. And, I'm not sure, maybe the first time I went to prison, I would have been ready. I'm like, hello, welcome, come on in. I'm going down I don't know when the last time they probably shook somebody's hand, but I was shaking everybody's hand, all 30, all the way down. Like, come on in. I called them in and we started playing games. Like these, let me tell you something. I never thought in a million years that I'd be able to get guys to play these games. They loved them all. We'd play pass a clap and all these kind of, and they were really good at these things too. It was really amazing. And so we're like playing games and they're doing all this stuff and just having a really good time. And the head of social services realized what she had done. And the class is packed, of course, because there's something like 35 guys in there. And she comes running upstairs going, oh my gosh, are you all right? What did we do? Because in prison, prison is a controlled environment. They don't like little errors like that. That's not a small error to do that at all. But it was such a testament to training. We're given assignments we can handle. I was fine, we're fine. We're fine. Just follow, follow, follow. Like her marching across that mountain, follow. That's all. and then the light takes care of it. We can't be tilted by circumstances. So he's reminding me about that. Are you trying to prepare me for something? Don't be tilted. Stand into it. It was joy, and I just loved it. And I can remember being so like, oh my God, there's just no way I'm going into a men's prison. I just couldn't possibly do that. I had so much fun and just was amazing, really amazing. But it's choosing life, really. I can see that. He's showing me how that was choosing to live, to be alive, but alive of spirit. That's our only life, life of spirit. To be in love beyond the form. That's what he's reminded me of that. How we're to be in love beyond the form. And to know in any situation that we're carried by the light. That's what he's reminding me with that. He's saying you need to remember that in every situation, you are light first. So all healing is it's giving the light a little bit of room to move in and do its thing. That's why he calls it a little willingness. Let the power of the light move in and take it. That's alive. He's showing me how alive this is. Aliveness is our function. It's aliveness. Totality celebrating is aliveness. If he is healed, he is responsible for his thoughts. And if he is responsible for his thoughts, he will be killed to prove to him how weak and pitiful he is. So that's really what we're liking. Oh, I asked Jesus, Jesus, is there any relishing of weak and pitiful thoughts? Pitiful. I want to see all of them. I'm asking for a miracle for any kind of little twitchy, pitiful thoughts. Because they used to come in every now and then, I want to give those to him. How could a mighty being ever be pitiful? How could the light be pitiful? I give those to you, Jesus, any kind of pitiful thoughts. And now he has given himself what God would give him and thus entirely usurped the throne of his creator. Jesus, do I desire an experience of bumping God off his throne? I said, Jesus, is every twitch bumping God off the throne? It says yes. Okay, I want to give it to me, all of it. Any throne bumping. It's just so much lighter when we say, just give it to me, whatever it looks like in every shape, form. The shift in perception. Healing must occur in the exact proportion to which the valuelessness of sickness is recognized. It's just so much lighter when you say, just give it to me, whatever it looks like in every shape, form. I'm going to say this sentence again. I want to make sure I get it totally. Healing must occur in the exact proportion to which the valuelessness of sickness is recognized. If we value sickness, it's exactly what appears. You can ask Jesus. The slightest smidgen of valuing sickness. But it's not just, it's sickness of the mind, it seems like it can express in a body. And it's helpful to look. Remember, he says, don't ask me to heal the body. Ask me to heal the conditions that have brought about the seeming symptoms in a body. And he will. One need but say, there is no gain at all to me in this, and he is healed. That's how powerful our minds are. I'm looking for any twitches to say that point. So we can release any of that subconscious tension, and he is healed. But to say this, one must first recognize certain facts. Okay, give them the facts to us. First, it is obvious that decisions are of the mind, not of the body. Jesus, am I willing to admit decisions of the mind are not of the body? Just listen to what he said. If there are any decisions that we think are coming from the body, then we can talk to him about it. If he says, yes, you do believe decisions are of the body. The body's deciding something. If sickness is but a faulty problem-solving approach, it is a decision. And if it is a decision, okay, so let's just ask him, Jesus, will you show me any desire, any decisions to be sick? Can you show me where those are? It's so helpful to ask him, and then he just shows it to you, and you can just release it immediately to a miracle. So I'm asking him, I said, so we can do this at night before we go to bed and say, were there any decisions today to be sick? And can you help me just look at those? He says, of course, that's what the function is. That's the whole function of our holy relationship together, for me to support you, for seeing where decisions are being made that are not of God. Because he's got to show us where we're not at peace sometimes, because we hide it so well. We like dabble in hell and think that that's peace. You can ask him. Jesus, do we dabble in hell and pretend like it's peace? You pretend like hell is salvation. Okay, Jesus, just show me any areas where I still believe that hell is salvation. And you just keep going until he says no. Now the ego gets all kind of discombobulated about that, but so what? Just go back to the light, and he's reminding me, go back to light. Is the light discombobulated? No, nothing to worry about. Is Jesus discombobulated? Is he forgetting who we are? Is he forgetting how to interpret for us? No. So I'm asking him, Jesus, do I need to listen to one thing the ego says? No. Do I like listening to what the ego says, Jesus? Do I like relish it? Just find the little devil in there. And let him show you this little, you'll see it's so great when you see that, boy. It's so good because you see what he's saying is true. There's like a little, oh, I like this, even though we've been saying all along, oh, I don't like it. I don't want to have this experience. And then you get down there and you see, oh, there are two little devil's horns under there popping. You can almost see them pop out. When you see him. You're that's that's why these light circles get to be so freaking funny, because you're sitting there and everybody's going, okay, Jesus, do I have a desire for whatever it is, do you usurp the power of God? And everybody goes, oh man. Everybody's going, oh man. He's saying, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And then you just know it's true. It's like, oh man. It's like, oh, I do. I want to usurp God so badly. It's like, I want to. But it's so good because then you're in the honesty of God, the pocket of God, because we're being honest about everything he's saying in the course. Okay, Jesus, then take me down again. And they'll take you, it'll seem to clear. And then the ego wants to, it's ready to go to lunch. The ego wants to head out the door. I must be done now. No, you got to ask Jesus again. Really, if you want to go all the way, you got to ask him all the way. Okay, Jesus, all right, I felt that wave of the no. It's like, oh, every cell, wants this. Okay, do I need to look again, even deeper, to release even more of the no energy down there and go another round? That's why it's good when you sit with mighty. See, they're not going to let you weasel out. And when the ego wants to play and pretend like there's no miracle, that's another one. Ask Jesus, does the ego like to pretend like you don't have a miracle? Yes, it's trying to control every asset, everything. That's why you have to be true to asking Jesus in these light circle sessions. And he's going to tell you I'm asking about, yes, he's going to tell you, stay focused on a desire. So you just start to focus on a desire, and the ego is going to try to throw what Muji calls a stone in the bush. Go look at that desire over there. It's like the puppies in the backyard, No, you stay with that energy of wanting. Right there, he's gonna help you. Say, show me, and it'll rise up. And as some beings have said, it feels like smoke. It doesn't matter. Who cares? You're a divine being. We can take it. And you keep going down. And then when you as you having that relationship with him where he's really showing you, going, oh man, and you ask him, okay, go ahead, give me the devil's horns on this. And then you say, oh man, do I want that? Holy smoke. And just let that energy dissipate. Stay with the desire, because the ego wants to go like this. If you watch that little diagram, my diagram goes in. It doesn't matter if you do David's diagram and go out toward perception or go in toward, however it is. Okay, so the little thought bubble thing, the bubble, the ego wants to start diving it. You want to stay at the desired level, because the ego is going to start going. It's going to start going into emotion and guilt and God, what I did wrong, and I'm going to be. But it's trying to be sneaky and dive into perception. Emotions are perceived. They lead to perception. So don't go in, just stay out with the wanting. Oh, I want this. I want it. Okay, I see the devil's horns. And then, Jesus, show me the death wish in it. You want to go to the death wish. That's the flip. And at first it can be hard to understand, until he actually shows you how that desire is trying to kill the light. That's what's meant by the death wish, the desire to kill the light out of awareness and to pretend like diving into the middle, we're going to get to heaven, diving into perception. That's why we keep personal identity, because the play of consciousness is that diving into the middle will give heaven. when it's hell. So you just keep going with him. And as you have that relationship with him, you can ask him, Jesus, I'm willing to see, tell him. He says, yes, tell him you're willing to see the death wish in it. And as soon as the connection's made that this desire is death instead of the idea that it's getting heaven, it, you're going all the way down to release these things. And he's taking us down going, okay, let me show you where you don't want a miracle there and you don't want to. And then sometimes you need the pre-miracle, as we've talked about. He said it's okay to call it pre-miracle. Like, at least we can admit, I do not want to look at this whatsoever. I don't want to look at it. But that is a big, I'm asking Jesus, can I use the word improvement? We'll just use that. It's a big step toward heaven over distraction. See, the distractions are going to, you'll just watch them. They're like little worms that try to go out in all directions. As soon as you start trying to look at chapter 20, you'll be amazed. I mean, don't be amazed, because that's how the ego works. That's how the desire not to look. It's going to go, okay, I'm busy. I might be able to do this 3 months from now. Sorry, I got my schedule. I got my life. I got food. No, what we have is death. Until those desires are cleared, we're living in, it's not life, we're dead. And when you're really willing to just go all the way, you'll hear it in the beings. If you listen to the videos of beings who are doing chapter 20 and they go, wait, I went all the way down with Jesus and there's nothing down there. You start to see it. The ego is smoke and mirrors. It's a bunch of smoke and mirrors. So our function with each other is to just keep encouraging each other to look and be true. And listen to what Jesus is saying, follow his instructions, and speak speak what he tells you and practice that with your brother. So I'm asking, so this is taking you back to the original decision, the decision to deny divine light. And he knows where all those, it seems it's one decision, but the ego consciousness hides it in a diversity of ways. That's why we have to look really closely. And I've said this before, and I asked him about it. Even when you're going through chapter 20 and it looks like these things are ever so the same, they're not. Even within one paragraph. It's such a confirmation that he knows the way. And you can hear it if you listen to Linda in Mona's, where they talk about, yeah, we thought we really cleared that, and by the time we get to the second line, it's like, wait a minute, because he knows how the ego hides these things in little pockets all over in the subconscious mind. The resistance to recognizing this is enormous, because the existence of a world as you perceive it depends on the body being the decision maker. Jesus, do I relish having a body being a decision maker? Oh, he says yes. And then just ask for miracles, show me. Terms like instincts, reflexes, and the like represent attempts to endow the body with non-mental motivators. Actually, such terms merely state or describe the problem. They do not answer it. we're just so used to reacting to form. Saying things like, okay, that's instinctual. That's a reflex. Every bit of it's untrue. And it's a story. Now, like in the play of consciousness, so the training was scientific. And so part of that scientist was going to go in and see, it was to look at, science looks at causality. Jesus says, yes. It's always looking at causality. It's trying to find one thing that causes another and have a scientific paper on causality. And I know I have a couple, but so the study was of physiology. So they're the body chemistry that, what changes body chemistry, and endocrinology, what changes the endocrine system. It's hilarious now. Look at that. And then you can just go to Jesus. Is any of that true? Not a smidgen. There's nothing in form to respond to. And we're so it's a belief that there's something out there that we're going to respond to. Something out there that causes something. This is the big shift in the mind when it's seen there is nothing out there doing anything. It's all a decision in the mind to pretend. That is the way out. To see it's all pretend and it's all backwards. That it's a play of hell pretending to be heaven. And that's why it can be helpful when that underbelly of the ego starts really coming out, when you really start and you just see all that stuff start coming. Because we've been living with it, which is death. We've been killing the light with those decisions and making the world, perceiving the world as real, that it can have an effect on a body. But there's just no peace in it. There's just straight hell. Actually, such terms, I mean, oh my gosh, that's all we studied. Physiology, reflexes. We hooked a little, I don't know, took a heart or something out. Oh, I don't remember what, out of a rabbit maybe. And you hook it up and then you follow it and you watch the little heartbeat and you add chemicals to it to make it do things. Nothing wrong with it. It's just part of the play of cause and effect. You add this and something else happens. That is the crack cocaine of consciousness. Jesus, I'm confirming. Yes, it's crack cocaine. That something can cause something else. Because then, as soon as we have that belief, then we're susceptible. Then we have an experience of being susceptible to cause and effect. It's really great to have these symbols in consciousness where you have these yogis that have been going for years and they don't have beliefs anymore. So they just eat poison. Nothing happens. There's a really great story of living miracles in Hawaii. And, they've been drinking this water, just absolutely fine, just drink it along until someone went up on the roof or something and looked at the cistern up there. I don't know, there's a hole in it or some kind of thing. It had just the green slime growing. We're drinking out of that. See, they didn't have any beliefs about it. You have one belief about that coronavirus, go to Jesus quickly. Jesus, do I have any beliefs below my level of awareness coronavirus is real? Thankfully, no. The consciousness is a fear generator. It's going to come. If it's not the coronavirus, it's going to be the Ebola virus. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. That something's going to cause something else. And we can never be free without looking at the thoughts and the desired experience to react, to watch the news and just watch the drug. See, watch how that drug plays. Get curious. Watch how you feel when you watch the news about all the beings that are getting, coronavirus coming to a neighborhood near you, and just notice the contractions and ask Jesus, Jesus, is this a belief? Do I have a belief that the coronavirus actually does something? I'm just happy every time he says no. You don't have any beliefs about it, you can't be impacted by it. You can't anyway, ultimately, because we're divine light and light's never impacted by anything. But within the play of the dream, I always check in with them on stuff like that. Jesus, do I have any desire, experience left left in there for any of this stuff? And then just check in. We are the Son of God. We are not susceptible to coronavirus. Probably get a call from the CDC. No. But if Jesus said, because I ask him, that's it. I just ask him. He knows what's helpful. Are the dogs going to get vaccines for whatever they need? Yes. But I don't have any beliefs about it. I don't have any beliefs that does anything. It's only Jesus. What's most helpful? The dogs are going down there to get a vaccine, But it's just to see whether there are any ideas left in the mind that any kind of magic actually does something. So it might be helpful, but let's just say they come up with a vaccine for coronavirus. I can't say, maybe Jesus will say, okay, go get that vaccine. But it's purposeful for holy encounter. And that's the only function for it. And to look with him. It might be helpful to look with him to see if there are any beliefs that a vaccine actually does something. All healing is to see that it's a belief in cause and effect, that something causes something else. Acceptance of sickness is a decision of the mind for the purpose for which it would use the body is the basis of healing. And this is so for healing in all forms. A patient decides that this is so, and he recovers. So it's just a decision. And that's what we look at. We just look at the decision to seemingly have an illness. But it's really the decision for insanity. And then ask Jesus, okay, can you show me the way out of that? And it's not the only place to look, because pain appears in all kinds of ways. But it is very direct to take on physical pain. I'm asking Jesus. Yes, very direct to take on physical pain, any kind of physical symptoms. And just look so directly with Jesus. And I'm asking, do the beings who come to watch these light circles? Yes. Is it for them? Yes. So thank you, Jesus. We'll keep looking looks like we'll continue to look at healing tomorrow for those that would like to come. Thank you, Jesus. We love you.